tech of Esper Reanimator with a sideboard of control. And first we're going to take a look at the lands in this deck. And starting off with colorless lands, I do run 2 Reliquary Tower. Now Reliquary Tower is good for keeping Reliquary Tower is excellent for keeping cards in my hand, since I do run a lot of draw spells, but being a Reanimator, discarding cards isn't an issue. But I do like to have it just in case I do get too many cards in hand, and a bunch of them, and I don't have any of the other cards that would be discard, that I would like to discard, such as creatures or burial rights. So it is helpful in keeping cards that I'd rather have in my hand. Now, I probably should knock this down to 3, but I am running 4 in Thalia Drown Yards, and I have found that I'm lacking getting mana, lacking in the color mostly blue and black, so I'll probably drop one of these and put in a blue land or another swamp. But as of right now, 4 in Thalia Drown Yards, mainly because of this putting 3 cards in the graveyard. I'll do that on myself and try to get a creature and or a burial rights in the graveyard. Next we're going to move into the just basic lands, and first would be an island. And as I said, I'm going to be probably dropping in Thalia Drown Yard to add in a second island, and or adding in a 3rd swamp. But for right now, it's 1 island, 2 swamps, 3 plains, and that's all for basic land. Now onto the dual lands. I'm not running Isolated Chapel, instead I'm running 4 Glacial Fortress, 4 Drowned Catacombs, and 3 Hallowed Fountains. Now, that's it for the lands, and I will move into the main card base of the deck, which first is going to include Unburial Rights. And obviously this card is the main feature of this deck, because grabbing creatures out of the big creatures out of the graveyard for 5 instead of 8 or 7 is quite nice, or for 4 instead of 8 and 7. And I need to find, and of course, to get stuff in the graveyard, the first card I'm using is Thought Scour. This is only blue, black, and white, so blue is really the only source that's going to offer a lot of getting cards in the graveyard, except for discarding. So I do run 4 Thought Scour because of its put 2 cards, and you can also get card advantage off of this. Moving on to 3 Forbidden Alchemy, which is similar to Mulch, but it costs 1 more. And you get to put any card in your hand, and it is an instant, so it is a good play turn 3 to look at the top 4, grab a card and out of them, and put the rest, such as creatures and burial rights, in the graveyard. I run 2 Sphinx's Revelation, mostly to get life and draw cards. Card advantage is very nice, especially in this format. And I do run 2 Ultimate Price to give myself a little bit more time, and against those aggro matchups, which especially comes into play with the 2 Tragic Slips, which are nice to take care of some of their creatures for their -1/-1, or Falconer Aristocrat if they can't -13/-13. The next spot removal card, or could be a draw card, is 2 Azorius Charm. Now these are used for either draw. I haven't really used them for life gain, but mostly for the draw or the bounce target creature. It's good for getting rid of tokens or large other creatures your opponent has. The next card is I only run 2 Lingering Souls, but a lot of people will sometimes run 3. Souls is good for, it hits your graveyard and can give you blockers, which gives you just a little bit extra time if you don't hit everything perfectly in within 5 turns or 4 turns with getting your Unbury Rites in your graveyard with Thought Scour or Forbidden Alchemy. Lingering Souls will give me a little, just that extra time I need to get a big creature on the field. Now, the creatures I do run are 3 Angel of Serenity. This is a new angel from Return to Ravnica. And it costs 3 white and 4, and when it enters the battlefield, you can steal 3 creatures from either player's graveyard or either player's field. Excuse me. And that goes very well with Disciple of Bolas, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the next creature I run is Drog Skull Reaver. I run 2 of them, a very nice Reanimator target, because of its life gain, its draw, and its flexibility with being a 3/5 double strike lifelink flying, and you get to draw 2 cards every time he hits or blocks. Now, Stormtide Leviathan is a card that isn't really given a lot, but I found that if I could bring this guy back, you can shut down a lot of people, especially junk tokens, and those who aren't really playing with any flying creatures. So if you're playing against an aggro matchup, this can shut them down. Except the only thing it doesn't shut down is Falconwrath Aristocrat, but you can kill that with other Tragic Slit. You can bounce it. So it does shut down a lot of other decks temporarily or for the game. And there is one Bristlebrand, which is good for getting lifelink, and I like his pay 7, draw 7 cards, so he can give you quite a card advantage over your opponent because of that effect. Disciple is used mainly for getting card in your hand and for extending the game. So if you're in a tight situation, you can drop him and sack one of your bigger creatures and then just bring it back. I found him very useful with Angel of Serenity. Sack Angel of Serenity, bring it back, and then take the Bolas. And then when you have 2 in your hand, you just keep doing that back and forth, and you will gain quite a bit of life and will extend the game if you are in a tight situation, as I said before. Now onto the Planeswalkers. I run 6. I run 3 Jace, Architect of Thought. Now you can shut down a lot of those token decks or aggro matchups, slow them down. And this -2 gives you a little bit more card advantage if you're searching. Next Planeswalker is Liliana, which is good for a discard. If you get one of your big creatures in your hand, you can just discard it and put it in the graveyard. And its -2 slows some opponents down. If they have a big creature, and if they're only one, you can hit that and get rid of it. Now that's all for the deck, and I hope you enjoyed it.